This is the CNC Geekcast, the podcast where two guys with speech impediments talk about movies. I'm Joseph Collins.
And I'm Paul Coombs.
And on today's episode, we'll be talking about the Justice League. We're going to be talking about the characters, the plot, well, not much of a plot because it doesn't really have one, with the structure of the film, and much more, so stay tuned. Now, before we get going, Paul, let's give our audience a spoiler warning, shall we?
Another film just came out a couple days ago. Came out really recently. So a lot of y'all may not have seen it yet. So before you continue on in this episode, make sure you go watch the film.
And then put us on when you're on the way home, or in the movie theater when you're about to fall asleep. One of those two. It's all good to me.
Don't listen to Joseph.
No, well, but at least put it on when you're going home.
But you can listen to that part. But generally, it's a good idea just not to listen to Joseph.
Well, then why am I here, Paul?
I honestly don't know.
Anyway, so we saw this movie on Friday. What are your thoughts on it?
It was entertaining.
Okay.
Like, it was. I actually want to watch it again. The character interactions was great. There was so much charisma amongst the cast. It really felt like they enjoyed being around one another. Had some fun fight scenes, even if the villain was forgettable, to put it nicely.
Was there a villain?
To put it nicely.
Put it nicely. But with all that said, it still was bad.
I would never say this was a good film. I just wouldn't.
Yeah, this is odd because this is what the reviews said. Before the film started, it's like, yeah, it was a fun movie, but structurally, it had issues. What about this movie didn't work structurally?
Well, first off, it has some weird pacing. Some scenes felt out of place. Mm-hmm. Example of a scene that felt out of place too was
in the opening, right?
The opening when you have
Wonder Woman, yeah,
when you have Wonder Woman in the bank. Like, thinking about that scene, the first time when I watched it the other night, I thought the bad guy in that scene, who was actually played by a Game of Thrones actor. It was kind of weird seeing him in something else.
Another actor was wasted.
Yeah, also, yes. But I thought he had said something I thought that was going to tie in later in the movie. But in fact, no. It was just completely dropped.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was cool to see Wonder Woman kicking butt. It's always cool to see Gal Gadot kicking butt. But it just really served no purpose.
Yeah, because at the beginning of the film, you had Batman basically fighting a parademon, which I thought was a cool scene. He was chasing the villain, but he used the villain as bait. I love that, because that's what Batman would do, right?
Actually, I really did enjoy that. And it did feel like Batman using his detective skills.
Yeah, and at the same time, that it felt like Gotham. You know, It was like old and decrepit, everything around him. And then you had the opening sequence was basically showing that Superman died, and it was trying to show that crime was on the rise, like the trailer said that it was supposed to be on. But again, that dialogue wasn't in the movie. I'm assuming it got cut. But then, after that, it went to the bank and Wonder Woman. And like you said, if it just really felt out of place, then after that scene happened, it switched back to Bruce Wayne trying to find Aquaman. And I thought to myself, it would have been better if you just took the Wonder Woman scene out, and after the credits, fade out into black, and maybe fade back in from black, and just have Bruce Wayne again.
Well, I guess I can see why they'd want to reintroduce us to Wonder Woman at the beginning of the film, though. Mm-hmm. Like, I can get that. I just wish that scene would have tied back in later. And there's another weird scene later in the film. About a third of the way into the film, we're introduced to like a Russian family.
Yeah.
And we actually really have no idea why until the end of the film.
Yes. And I can understand why they did that, okay? There's a difference between intent and effect. And the intent of that scene was to try to get you connected with civilians and the people who are vulnerable, and try to get you up the tension. The effect wasn't that, because like you said, we don't know who these people are, and it came out of nowhere, and we didn't really have any prior connection, nor did it seem like Steppenwolf, who was the villain of the film, seemed that big of a threat anyway. I mean, there was so much that this film just didn't get right.
No, it didn't, and I don't know how best to explain it, but there was some weird pacing problems too, because you had a few minutes where you have exposition dumps, and then an exposition dump introducing Steppenwolf
was
a lot later than it should have been.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I did like the scene where they had...
They had already introduced the threat before they let us know why he would...
Yeah, I felt the same way. I felt like when the Sephiroth came out, and when they went back to Wonder Woman's, what was that place called?
Themyscira?
Yeah, that place. And he dumped down, and I'm like, oh, he's here. That came out of nowhere.
And it's like, who are you?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why should I be scared? And then I'm Sephiroth. Oh, you have an axe. I guess that's supposed to be scary, Well, I'm scared now.
Actually, his axe was cool, though.
It was cool. Yes, I agree with that. And that sequence was cool at the same time. I mean, you did see like an entire army of Amazonians coming down ready to fight. And I love how he just disappeared. And I'm like, oh, now what? Okay, well,
no, it was cool. And it bothered me a lot in this movie because in that scene, Steppenwolf actually feels powerful. He feels like a threat because he's fighting these Amazonians, women who trained with Wonder Woman, women who are the peak of human strength. And throughout the movie, he just like loses his strength. And by the end of the movie, he's like getting his butt kicked by Aquaman.
That's true. I mean, I guess his strength comes from his axe. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't like I said, it doesn't establish his power very well as a character. But at the same time, there was other characters in this film that actually came off better than Steppenwolf. Because Steppenwolf felt like a flat character. He didn't feel like a threat at all. But what did you think of Batman and the other characters, Wonder Woman?
I enjoyed seeing Batman again in this film. I enjoyed Batman's role as a leader. It fit him like a glove. It worked nicely. Even if he did try to fight it, even if he did like...
Didn't feel like he was a leader.
Exactly. But it worked for him. It fit him. I enjoyed seeing Wonder Woman again. Gal Gadot was fantastic. I enjoyed her kind of fighting with herself, like, hey, I should have been a presence in the world sooner. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Ezra Miller as the Flash. He was funny. I've seen him in other stuff. Wish he would have had more of a character arc, but the same can be said of most of these characters.
Yeah, well, I felt like we read an article online about how Warner Brothers gave this movie only 2 hours to be made. And I felt like, and we read something online that...
Not 2 hours to be made. The film could only be 2 hours.
That's what I meant.
Like...
They only could have... You can't make a film in 2 hours, I get that. But it can only be 2 hours long, and the original film, according to sources, from Zack Snyder was unwatchable. So I had to cut the film down to 2 hours, and I felt like unfortunately, there's a lot of scenes on the cutting edge floor, or the cutting room floor, that probably would have strengthened the characters a bit more. It didn't have to be that long. I'm not asking, because this is really silly, actually. We read online that there were fans petitioning for Warner Bros. To release the original Zack Snyder's edit of the film. And I'm like, no, I can understand adding a couple more minutes, like 20 more minutes of this film, but not Zack Snyder's original version.
Well, first off, you can find a petition on the internet for literally anything.
Yeah.
Like, you could probably find a petition demanding the government release the documents they have pertaining to the flat Earth.
Well, they should. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay, thank you. I was about to kick you off the podcast.
Why? Because I potentially believe the Earth is flat. Because I don't. I'm just kidding.
But also, yes. But at the same time, these fans are literally asking Warner Brothers to spend money to finish Zack Snyder's edition.
Which was apparently unwatchable in the first place.
But finish all the CGI, finish everything in post.
Yeah.
And then release both versions on DVD. Like, as I said, this is stupid on the surface.
I 100% agree. I don't think that when I first read it, I'm like, I would take an extended edition. But I will not take Zack Snyder's original film.
I don't even want an extended edition, because to me, if Warner Brothers keeps doing these extended editions, it tells me, why go see it in the theater when I could wait a couple months and receive a better version?
I agree with that, but I think that Warner Brothers has learned their lesson. I really have. Really do. But at the same time, I enjoy extended editions in general, because I like to see alternate versions of something and how filmmakers, what ideas they're going to go for afterwards. But I do think the extended edition should always be a bonus to the theatrical edition, not a replacement. I do think that extended editions should always be presented that way.
No, exactly. But what you're describing, the film would basically be a replacement, because as you're saying, I mean, and I agree with you. It would be nice to have... I can't believe I'm saying this about a Warner Brothers film, but it'd be nice if this was longer.
It would be nice if it was longer, because you needed more time to flesh these characters out. But I agree. I do enjoy Batman. Now, though some people may be upset at how he treated Gal Gadot in one scene.
Well, actually, at the same time, Batman is a butthole. Like,
Yeah,
the
he is.
character itself, he is a butthole. He is not a nice person.
No, he's not. At the same time, he did tell Alfred the reason he did that for a reason and a purpose to light a fire under her. That's why he did it. And then even there's a scene where Batman looked back and talked about Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman said it's okay and walked away, and he knew he crossed the line, but he's still just okay. Yeah, I knew I did something wrong, but I'm still gonna carry on. I did it for a reason, and that's Batman. And then people are upset about him, but that's his character.
But I do like that because it established Batman as a leader, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
And what did you think about Cyborg? Like, were you familiar with the character of Cyborg before?
Actually, interesting. Before, I think it was a year ago, at the beginning, or maybe it was this year, that I watched a Justice League version, an animated version of Justice League that Warner Bros. Released.
Which one?
I forgot which one it was called, but they did have Cyborg and Kazam on it. Was that Shazam? Shazam, that guy. He came in. But Cyborg, actually, I knew his background character. Apparently, he was a star football player that was going to go and have a great NFL career at, I think, Gotham City or one of those two. Gotham football player. And then suddenly he had an accident. No, I think what happened in the movie is he snuck in wondering where his father was because his father couldn't make one of the football games. And he went to confront, and I think the parademons attacked. He got stuck or he got into an accident and became Cyborg after that. So I did know Cyborg's character coming into it. So I wasn't blind to it. So I do know where all these characters are coming from. But I felt like there was a scene in the trailer where we saw him playing football and saw him in his football jacket that was not in the original cut, the theatrical cut of the film.
I mean, that's an issue. That you're right about Cyborg's backstory. Actually, another film you're talking about. You're talking about Justice League Doom, I think it is.
Okay, all right.
And you're right. That film gave Cyborg a story. And had you not known that, you wouldn't have known anything about Cyborg. Had this been a person's introduction to Cyborg, they'd be like, well, who is this character and where does he come from?
Exactly.
Because this film really doesn't explain that. In fact, the film uses Cyborg more as a plot device.
Yes.
Like, for the first part of the film, Batman and Wonder Woman are trying to find Cyborg. And then, Cyborg comes under them. And then later in the movie, they use Cyborg to try to help with the mother boxes.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, they use Cyborg to split the mother boxes. Cyborg really doesn't grow as a character. He's just used as the plot demands it.
Yeah, I agree. And
I think the character deserves better. And probably that the actor did an admirable job.
Yeah.
Even if his suit did look terrible.
Yeah, CGI, of course. CGI was terrible in this film. I mean, I do agree. I mean, it definitely looked unfinished.
And what did you think about Aquaman?
I thought that, Aquaman, I am so glad that Aquaman is a BA in this film. I mean, between the two, if I had to choose between the 1960s and 50s Aquaman and this Aquaman, I will go with this Aquaman any day of the week.
I would too. First off, I love Jason Momoa.
Yes.
Like, I do. He was fantastic in Game of Thrones. He's awesome in real life.
Stargate Atlantis.
He's awesome in real life. He's like a beer drinking, axe throwing kind of guy. Yeah. He's awesome. Mm-hmm. But I can't help but feel Aquaman feels a bit like an overcompensation.
Okay.
Like, hey, we know Aquaman is generally considered a dweeb, so we're gonna go 100% the other direction. Yeah. Like, we're gonna turn him into a whiskey drinking, bar fighting, muscle dude.
Yeah, well, it makes sense though. I mean, that's what he was in remember the Justice League cartoon?
Yeah.
He kind of felt like that way too in that film, didn't he?
Not really. He was more in the Justice League cartoon. He was a king, and he was all about honor and protecting his people.
Well, maybe if they did a solo movie about Aquaman and had covered that, we wouldn't have this problem in the first place.
Had we had solo movies for these characters, we probably would have got a lot better movie.
Yes, we've got a lot better movie, and Marvel has proven that you do need solo movies.
No, they really did. I did like the idea of trying to introduce all these characters to kind of speed up the process.
Yeah.
But it's one of those ideas that works a lot better on paper.
Yes. I mean, I thought that maybe, at the same time, I did feel like maybe having 2 hours and 20 more extra minutes for this film would have helped a bit.
It would have helped, but it still would have been iffy.
I understand that, but I think if Joss Whedon added some scenes and padded them up, I think that if he had time, it would have been better. But I think that cutting it to 2 hours didn't work. Because you look at all the other Marvel films, like the Avengers. Both Avengers movies were 2 hours and 20 minutes. That was enough time, I think, to at least flesh out the characters a bit.
I'm going to ask you, what did you think of Ezra Miller as Flash?
Oh, I thought he was great, because Ezra Miller's mentality definitely fits Flash, because Ezra is always, he seems like I won't say ADHD, but his mentality is he talks fast, he does a lot of things fast, he has like I don't want to say a twitch, but I don't know how to describe it, but...
I'm not sure what you're saying.
Yeah, well,
I think the actor did a fantastic job.
Well, I think the actor did a very good job, and the way his performance was that he talked fast, and his mind was moving. It seemed like his mind was moving 1,000 miles an hour, and he had to slow down a bit.
You think the actor did a very good job capturing what it was probably like to be the Flash?
Yeah, mentally too. I mean, it's like because it seemed like it was like because he did a lot of things fast, and he was very energetic, which was a Flash, too.
One thing that actually bothered me about the Flash in this though.
What?
I can't say it bothered me about the Flash. It bothered me about the marketing for Justice League. The fact that everything in the Flash marketing or the Flash introduction was shown in the trailers.
Yeah.
Like, I thought, the way Batman throws the Batarang and they talk and the Flash is so excited to join the team, I really thought there would be more to that. There wasn't. The trailer literally showed us the entire scene.
Pretty much, yeah, except for minus a couple of seconds of a scene. I agree with that. But the entire point of the scene, or that preview, which was, to be fair, it was a preview, not a trailer. It was, the entire point was just, hey, we have comedy in this film. Isn't this great? We have light and comedy, and it's bright. So come see the film. And it's 2 hours long, too. You like that, right? You're missing the point. No, I'm not going to hammer that dead horse.
I get that, but as I said, I still would have liked to see more of a character arc for these characters, because they didn't feel like real characters. They felt like cardboard cutouts of these characters we know and love. Because I grew up watching the Justice League animated series, so I'm familiar with all these characters. I'm familiar with what I see, and so I can kind of flesh out a lot more in my mind.
It kind of bothers me that cartoon had more character development than the movie.
I mean, at the same time, not just a cartoon. I truly put it like the best top 10 cartoons ever made. Yeah.
Well, the cartoon Justice League Doom, the movie, had more fleshed out characters. I'm not saying it was a better film, but the characters were more fleshed out. I knew where Cyborg was coming from. He was upset at his dad because his dad was spending too much time being at the science place, and then his mother died. And I actually heard that there was a scene online where there's a deleted scene where there was a flashback sequence where Cyborg actually talked to his mother. And I thought, that's what this movie needed more of.
That would have been nice. It would have been nice had the movie had a little more heart.
Yes.
Because when Cyborg is first introduced, he's struggling a bit with, am I a man or am I a machine? Like, what am I?
Yeah.
And that was, hopefully you like that, because that's the last you see of that in the entire movie.
He overcame it very quickly.
He seems to accept it by the end of the movie, but we don't see the change. It's just the light switch.
We don't see the arc.
Yeah, we don't see the arc. We see the light switch off, now it's on.
Yeah.
Bam.
Same thing with the Flash. I mean, the Flash had a father that was in prison, and that's fine, that's great, Well, got some heart in there, but still.
Well, the Flash always wanted to be a hero, so when Batman comes up to him, he's like, okay, I'll do it, like, immediately. And that's cool, and it's awesome. But later in the film, when he's actually asked to do something heroic, he kind of freezes up.
Which is fine, because that's human.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like that. But I do think that, again...
But even that scene, even him freezing up, doesn't last long. It lasts a matter of seconds.
Well, he falls up, but he's got the courage to do the thing, which is what,
I get that, but still, like, that's not a character arc, that's more of a character speed bump.
Yeah, it was a speed bump, I agree with that. But I think, once again, more scenes showing him get these powers, and then say, I can do these awesome things here, and then when he actually is faced with danger, then that happens. Makes sense. I do think that, even though it was unwatchable, it felt like there was a couple that Zack Snyder did film those scenes. Mm-hmm. Even if it may not have worked, those films are on the cutting room floor.
But at the same time, talking about all these characters, there's a character that I really didn't feel got his due.
Okay, which one was that?
Commissioner Gordon.
J.K. Simmons.
I love J.K. Simmons. I've loved J.K. Simmons in everything he does.
Since Superman. Batman. Batman. I get these superheroes confused. Spider-Man, the one that has 8 legs.
Yes, since that one.
Spider-Man.
Well, I even like him in those insurance commercials that he's in.
Oh, yeah.
The State Farm insurance commercials. But he is an amazing Oscar-winning actor, and he's Commissioner Gordon. And you see Commissioner Gordon for like maybe 30 seconds in this movie.
But to be fair, he did deliver a lot of good lines.
No, he was probably the best actor in this movie in those 30 seconds.
Jimmy Ryan's as Alfred.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm still partial to J.K. Simmons.
Oh no, I'm not saying that J.K. Simmons. I'm just saying that you have 2 good actors, Jimmy Ryan's and J.K. Simmons. Jimmy Ryan's, of course, got a better, got more screen time because he's Alfred. Even his lines was really good in the film.
Yeah,
there was one line where Wonder Woman was like, probably going on a date, and Alfred's like, well, at least there's one of you doing that.
I did like that, but the movie felt a little too quippy at times. Like, it was too much. Like,
Josh Whedon.
Like, you could obviously see what Joss Whedon's fingerprints were.
Yeah, there's one scene, well, at the end of the film when Superman came back, he was running with the Flash, and the Flash was saving that family. He felt really proud, but he was Superman carrying an entire building.
Actually, I liked that scene. I did. First off, I loved Superman in this film.
Yeah, Superman was fantastic.
Superman. From the very opening shot.
Well, you just love Superman in general when we talk about this.
Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. The Superman in that made me want to gouge my eyeballs out.
Okay, yeah, because it's not Superman. I get that.
Because it's not Superman.
I agreed with that. I'm not a Superman fan. When I saw Man of Steel, I'm like, that's not Superman. When he was in Man of Steel, when he was in the bar, this is an example, and that guy threw the beer at him, he stopped, and he didn't turn around and punched him in the face. He just walked out. I'm like, okay, that's Superman. But the very next scene, the truck driver came out and saw his truck smashed up. I'm like, that's not Superman. You do not understand Superman at all. And then in Batman vs. Superman, he's brooding and he's just like, eh. But in the minute that the first scene of this film was Superman being recorded on a cell phone with kids, and the way he interacted was genuine, he was kind, he was open.
He took the time for the kids.
Exactly. He talked to them, and Superman did that. And I leaned over to Eric Offen, and he's like, that was a better Superman in those few seconds than all these the last two movies.
No, definitely. Also, I did love the scene with the Russian family. As soon as they were introduced, it was obvious why they were introduced. To give Superman something to save. Mm-hmm. And I did like that idea. But what bothered me about that scene was you see Superman carrying this building.
Yeah.
And presumably the building is full of civilians.
Yeah.
We did not see any of those civilians.
In danger.
No, we didn't see any of them, period.
No, that's what I mean. We didn't see them in danger. We didn't see them running from one another, calling for help. All we saw was Superman carrying a building. I'm like, okay, that's great. Why are you carrying that empty building during a wartime?
Yeah,
we're doing battle.
It's like, congratulations, you can carry a building.
Yeah,
I knew this.
But it's still fun. It was still a funny scene when you have the Flash going, yeah, I did something great. And the Superman's like, what was that?
I mean, I like that they retconned Superman. And did you notice they even retconned Superman's suit?
The suit is the same design. It just has color now. It's bright blue. It's bright red. It's yellow. And even his lines are Superman-esque. He was smiling in the movie. I mean, he was in there, and when he came back to fight Steppenwolf, he's like, I believe in truth and justice. And he starts attacking. I'm like, hey, that was the Superman lines.
And then he stops his attack to rescue the people. And I love that.
Yeah,
because in Man of Steel, people never had a problem with them destroying buildings.
Yeah, that's the thing. In the last battle of Man of Steel, Zack Snyder was like, why are you so upset at him destroying things? Star Wars had all these planets being destroyed. I'm like, no, you missed the point, Zack. It's not the buildings being destroyed. He wasn't saving anybody.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. He wasn't taking the time. He wasn't catching people. He wasn't like, oh no, he didn't throw something at Zod, hit him away, and then zoom by to save other people.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't. I mean, there was a scene. Well, even I know there was a scene where he destroyed the planet or the planet transformer thingy.
Yeah.
On the other side, yeah, that's fine. But when he was in the battle with Zod, he was helping contributing to death and destruction. And the beginning of Batman vs Superman tackled this issue when Batman was like, look at all the people who are dead. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
They tackled that. And that's the thing about Man of Superman. And I loved his suit. I loved his mentality. I loved his attitude. It was great. And I also love that scene when though I do hate the fact how he was brought back. That was frustrating.
Actually, I don't hate the way he was brought back, just truthfully.
Okay.
It doesn't bother me, like, how they actually did it. What bothers me is that, think about the end of Batman vs. Superman, when Superman died. It was a big deal. And so was that dirt rising off his coffin. Yeah. That was directly implying that Superman was going to come back kind of on his own.
Yeah.
And then this kind of retconned that.
Even the trailer, like you mentioned, I think you mentioned this. Well, Alfred at the end of the trailer was fixing a car in the woods, and he looked and he saw his glass and he saw it shaking, and saw the classic ripple effect that's shown in Jurassic Park. He looks up and says, "He told me you would come. Let's just hope you're not too late." I'm like, that must be Superman.
Exactly. So it feels weird because it obviously wasn't how they was originally going to do it.
Yes. I think Zack Snyder had something else intended, but with all those reshoots, I think Joss Whedon was like, you know what, we're just going to retcon it, just go with it. Because I felt like maybe it was Joss Whedon who did that. I don't know.
No, it was definitely Joss Whedon, because there's actually a really easy way to tell all the reshoots in this film.
Okay, how's that?
Well, first off, Henry Cavill's it's going to seem unrelated, but it's not.
Okay.
Henry Cavill is in Mission Impossible 6.
Those films have been good in the last couple of years, but
that's not the point.
I know.
Mission Impossible 6. Henry Cavill has to have a mustache.
Yeah, and he's
contractually obligated to have the mustache. He can't shave it. So he has already signed on to that. So when the reshoots for Justice League happened, he had already grown the mustache.
Yeah.
So he couldn't shave it.
At least he can have one.
So they had poor Joseph. So they had to cover over it with CG. So it creates this weird uncanny valley effect.
Yes.
But it also makes it obvious which scenes were added. It's like, that was a reshot, that was reshot, that was reshot.
Yes.
Even just, like, most of the scenes with Superman are reshot. Which means, like, a good 25% of this film was reshot.
Even though he came back, he was a bit mad. He didn't know what was going on, and I love that sequence when he was fighting with the Justice League, Aquaman, the Flash, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg. He has them all hanging there and fighting, and here's the Flash coming around. And during this time, he's the fastest thing alive. No one can catch up with him. He does all these great things, and then suddenly here with him in slow motion, and Superman just turns his head and looks at him in the exact same speed that he's going. And I love that.
No, I loved that too. First off, I actually love that scene for a different reason too.
Okay.
Because it actually showcased just how strong Superman is.
Yes.
Because Wonder Woman is a demigod as established in Wonder Woman. And she gives him a headbutt. Mm-hmm. And I like it because he gives her a headbutt back.
And just pounds her into the ground.
And pounds her into the ground. It's like, ha ha ha.
Exactly, and that's great. And then when Batman came up, I'm like, oh, we're gonna have another Batman Superman fight. Nope, he just grabs him in the face, and then he said, what was the line he said? He's like, now do you bleed?
Yeah, he has.
No, I have a question. Did you like that line as a callback?
Actually, I loved that line as a callback. It worked for me.
Okay,
but it was humorous, and especially when Batman falls and he's like, something's bleeding.
Yeah. Exactly. That was good. Now, the only thing I didn't like, of course, was when Superman came back, he was with Lois Lane. Those scenes were a bit, they seemed, I don't know.
No, they were necessary. Like, they would, I actually liked the scene on the farm. You know the thing that bothers me about the farm, though?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. We have to get to that, don't we? Yeah.
No, I want to go ahead and get to that. Think about it. At the end of the foreclosure is a big deal. Martha comes into Metropolis and stays with Lois Lane.
And we find out that the farm was closed down, foreclosed.
Yeah.
She had to move, okay? And she had to move into Metropolis, and, there's a scene where him and Lois Lane talk about it. But on the way back, we had a conversation with me, you, and your fiance. What did she say? Steve actually brought up this point.
No, it was... If Bruce Wayne was so racked with guilt about killing Superman, because the movie does touch on that, and I find it interesting how Batman, in such a short time, developed such a kinship with Superman, because he saw a pinnacle of good, and I really do like that. So he was obviously torn up about Superman's death when he felt he caused it, because, well, he kind of did.
Yeah, he did.
So after Superman comes back, after the fight with Steppenwolf, he buys the bank at the end of the movie.
That owns the house, yeah.
Yeah, to get the house back. If he was so racked with guilt about killing Superman before, why wouldn't he have made sure that house never went into foreclosure in the first place?
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. And I don't think the writers did either. I think that line was funny, though I don't think you need to buy an entire bank to get a foreclosure back.
I don't think you do either. Isn't that a Bruce Wayne thing to do, though?
It would be, but I think...
if he was a real person, wouldn't you see him doing something like that?
Yeah, I would see him, because I think that he's the type of person who's like, all this paperwork, I'm just going to buy the bank.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to deal with this. Just buy the bank.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so... No, I think that there's, like I said, there's a lot of fun parts in this film. I think that it's definitely... Warner Brothers... This felt like a film that Warner Brothers actually was like, we're changing now. We're shifting. We're doing things differently. This is a course correction for Warner Brothers, and I thought that, to be honest, I didn't think that this movie was that course correction. Wonder Woman was that course.
No, this movie was fun. This movie had some problems, but truthfully, I think in 2011 or 2012 when Zack Snyder was announced that he was heading the DCEU, I was kind of excited. Because at that point, Zack Snyder had a string of hits like 300 and Watchmen. Though a lot of people don't like Watchmen, I always have and I always will. Okay. I love that film. So I was excited when I found out Zack Snyder was helming a new Man of Steel and going to be in charge of all that. In retrospect, that was not a good decision.
No, but at the same time, after watching Batman vs. Superman, I don't think Man of Steel was as bad as these two films probably, apparently. Because we heard, like we said, this version of Darkseid was unwatchable from what I understood. This is strange because I heard a contradictory claim that the studio liked it.
It's the internet rumor mill.
I don't know what's true or false.
Well, if
it's fake news.
Well, if they had liked it, do you think they would have brought Joss Whedon in to save it?
No, I think what I read was that Zack Snyder brought Joss Whedon in to give some opinions. That's what I heard. I don't know what is true. I don't.
What do you think the film could have improved on, other than like being a little bit longer? And
I thought that, to be honest, I don't really know. I think it could have been longer. I think some scenes could have been reorganized. I think it could have been better structured. Yeah. I think it would be, I'm more padding scene wise, because I think there was Aquaman. There was longer scenes with Aquaman, because in the trailer you saw Bruce Wayne saying, "I need to talk to this person," and then Aquaman turns. He never turned in this film. Small things like that, and the traveling that Bruce Wayne did was a bit longer. So I think that there was some scenes that supposed to be fleshed out.
You know one thing that bothered me about Aquaman in this movie?
What?
Like the whole thing, the fact that you didn't get to see Atlantis.
Oh, I know. Atlantis would have been cool.
Like,
doesn't an established shot of Atlantis on a grand score?
They even could have did it with like one of those weird mother boxes things. Yeah. Just think about it. That mother box is held in a secure place in Atlantis. Yeah, why not do a wide of Atlantis and then go to the room with the security room?
Yeah, I mean,
it would have been easy.
Yeah, I'll have Aquaman swim into.
Or find a way to make that exposition dump in Atlantis more natural, because it just felt like the movie kind of stopped there for Mira to give him commands.
Not only that, but it felt like they created a bubble.
Yeah.
It felt like an exposition bubble. An L bubble was like, okay, this is the exposition bubble, guys. So go talk about stuff.
Go make sure you reveal exactly what the audience needs to know to understand what happens next.
And then the audience like, what? I don't get it. I'm so confused. What's going on? What's happening? Bad guys trying to take over the world, save the girl. Well, no saving the girl. No, I just said that because,
But you know what's interesting about Justice League 2?
What?
The film has made $97 to open a weekend.
$97?
$97 million.
I'm like, this 97? Jeez.
That's what I think we spent more than 97, whatever. But still, the film has made $97 million as of like.
That is not good.
No.
Is it?
No, it isn't. But it's also just weird to think about for me, though. Yeah. It's like, the movie's made $97 million in 2 days, and it's like, that's not good. And it's like, when I'm trying to wrap my head around these numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand why it's not good, because the budget and then these characters. Because truthfully, because imagine had this film been good. Mm-hmm. Imagine had we got the Justice League we deserve.
But it's the one we need right now.
Shut up. as soon as I said that, I was like, wait.
Oh, crap.
This film would be probably one of the highest grossing films of all time.
Yeah,
I'm saying if we had got the movie we deserve.
Yeah.
Not the one we need right now.
Yeah.
But, because, I can understand how with $97 million it's a flop. Or not, I don't want to say flop, but the movie had the same budget and then the production budget. So Warner Brothers needs to make a lot of money to make money.
Well, not only that, but if you look at the cut of Batman vs. Superman, the theatrical edition, they cut a lot of things out in Batman vs. Superman that would have helped the plot, but they kept all the Justice League stuff in there.
Yeah.
So that was setting this movie up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when this movie finally comes out,
it makes less than Batman vs. Superman did its opening weekend.
Yeah, that's not
significantly less.
Yeah, so far that's not good. And I'm like that.
So what do you think the DCEU goes from here?
Honestly, at this point, I wish they would just reset, to be honest. I know they're not going to, and it's too costly to do that. But starting all over again would have been really nice. Somehow, some way, just
give it to Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, just give it to Patty Jenkins or something. Just stop. I think Justice League is a reset, to be honest. Because even though Superman did die, it feels like, that was kind of okay, we made a mistake, we fixed a mistake. Because even there was a line where Superman says, "I'm the stupid guy who got myself killed" or something. Yeah. So it kind of did. It's like, it is a reset. And I think that from here, it's like, okay, fine, I get that. I wish that I didn't have all these movies that I would have to watch. But I'm really excited about Aquaman, though I do disagree that I saw the list, and there's only Aquaman's coming out next year, to my knowledge. And I'm like, why?
I don't understand that either.
No, you why not just make two films like Marvel? Marvel's kicking your butt, and what are you doing to compete right now?
Well, truthfully, I don't like this whole Marvel's kicking their butt thing, though.
Well, kicking their butt in the sense of releasing films.
Okay, that part's fair.
Yeah.
But it implies a competition that I don't I don't partake in.
Yeah,
Because truthfully, I will go see every single movie if it has a superhero in it. If a movie has someone in tights, I will go watch that movie.
I agree with that. I'm not feel the same way. There's no war for me between Marvel and DC. I just wish that DC would get their act together.
I just want DC to get their act together for one reason.
Okay.
The faster they get on board, the faster they get doing stuff, the sooner I get a Brainiac movie.
Oh, you want Man of Steel Brainiac?
No, I just want a Brainiac, like a Justice League versus Brainiac. I don't care.
Oh, Justice League 2 Brainiac.
Yeah.
I would like a Brainiac.
I would love. I want to see a Brainiac as a villain at some point. I know he's.
That's funny because you know what people would say? Oh, they're just doing Age of Ultron again.
I don't care.
I
Those
know.
people can shut their mouth. I want a Brainiac movie before I die.
No, I think Brainiac is definitely one of my favorite DC villains of all time.
Yeah.
Yes. Next to the Joker, Brainiac, I think it's the best.
Speaking of villains, what do you think of the stinger at this? Not the mid-credit stinger, the after-credit stinger.
Well, let's go to this film. This film, the one thing about this film is it feels like it was very fluffy, very upbeat, very bright, and very superhero-esque. And I felt like that ending scene was like superhero-esque. Well, we're going to create our own league. And like, yep, that's superhero-esque. And I don't mind that.
A league of our own.
Yeah, league of our own. I'm like, okay.
I didn't know villains played baseball.
Yeah, we're just going to get a bunch of women to go out there during wartime and have them play baseball because it's a pastime that people need and stuff. This is a callback to the movie.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, but before we go, let's tell our audience what we're going to talk about next week. Now, this episode is going to be our 50th episode, and we were actually having something else planned for our 50th episode, and that was a King's Speech. But instead, it's going to be a 51 episode. But the reason why we want to talk about a King's Speech is because what better way to celebrate a passing the 50th episode than talk about a movie with a guy who has a speech impediment?
That makes perfect sense.
I mean, you're really excited about this, aren't you?
No, I'm always really excited to talk about a movie.
Yes, and this movie to me,
and I'm just excited that we've made it to 50 because this means we've been going almost a year and a half. Like we haven't always been consistent with releases, and we do apologize for that, you guys.
But we do have busy lives sometimes.
But we've kept it going. Like we didn't find an excuse to stop, and I'm proud of us just for that.
Yeah, I mean, we seem to continue on with this. And I'm really excited about the King's Speech because I really, really enjoyed the movie.